If you think about 7 Days to Live, you'd think someone just said 99 nights in a different way. But you're wrong. 7 Days to Live is an actual game, and it was made before 99 nights. 7 Days to Live is a Roblox game made by Middleway Studios, released on May 13th, 2024. It has around 13 million visits as of this video, but now averages only about 1,000 active players. Why the drop? I'm JD, or better known as just a dude. I make YouTube videos on analyzing games. 'Cause why not, and objection.lol videos. Now, let's find out, starting with a brief history. The history of this game is actually pretty solid. 3 people made it, who are Vians, Holder, and Will.i.am. They'd already created another game called Siren Head Legacy. That game is doing much better, averaging around 9,000 players, compared to 7 Days to Live. Let's call it 7DTL, with about 1,000. But it wasn't always like this. 7DTL used to peak at around 19,000 players before it fell off. Why? As a player who's been around since the old lobby, I think I know the answer. It got harder. I'll be analyzing and rating these main parts: the lobby, gameplay, sound design and atmosphere, and the lore, so watch that part at your own risk. The lobby is clear and easy to follow, though it has some small issues. Let's meet the 4 main NPCs. Chun, a Chinese astronaut, who sells you a variety of guns. Banner, the pre-store guy, who sells permanent items, but you can only bring 3 of the 9 into a run. Charles, the skill seller, who offers 3 skills each day, and you can equip only 3 out of 20 plus. And finally Manu, who sells different characters. These 4 characters are implemented pretty well, except Charles, who's a bit hard to find, and I'm not a fan of the stock system. It doesn't ruin the game, but it does make things slightly more annoying. There isn't a ton more to say here, since these characters basically replace standard shop menus, but they add a nice feel to the game and make it feel more alive than a simple counter and a single shopkeeper selling everything. I'd rate the lobby as 7 out of 10. Not perfect, but definitely not bad. All of these NPCs use scrap, an in-game currency you earn by playing the main game, which leads us to the next part. Moving away from the past, let's look at the gameplay. On the HUD, you see 4 main things: a health bar, hunger bar, temperature bar, and hot bar. But there's also a hidden 5th sanity bar, a 6 bar for the day, night timer, and a sev. Yeah, you get the idea. Some of these hidden bars are hidden for no good reason, especially the sanity bar. Hiding the day, night timer is fine, but the sanity bar? That's too far. Why is that so detrimental? Very well then, sanity affects your damage, speed, and more big factors, and you can't even see how insane you are. Luckily, there are signs like static, whispering voices, and more. Because of that, I won't be that annoyed. Putting that aside, the moment-to-moment gameplay is actually pretty cool. There are neat touches, like shooting a window to grab a key from inside a house. There are unique systems, such as brewing and trading. And escaping takes actual skill, not just surviving. Things like blowing up a military generator, etc. There are several distinct areas, such as the forest, moon mission, and the best of all, the corruption. The first time you enter, it's terrifying. Even though I know how to escape easily now, I still get goosebumps exploring it. Unless you're just grabbing one of the key items needed to escape, the area is packed with well-designed puzzles. Except the calculator one, which I won't spoil if you're interested in the game. Not because I'm bad at math, but because of how awkward it is to solve. I'll save the rest of how it feels for the atmosphere section. Overall, the gameplay is great, and I'd give it an 8 out of 10. That's all I'll say about gameplay for now. There's a lot more, but this video would be over an hour long if I covered everything. So let's move on to the sound design and atmosphere. The sound design and atmosphere are strong. Characters like Chun and the player have voice acting, which adds flavor and makes the game more engaging. Enemies also have warning sounds, like bears growling and wolves howling, which adds balance and makes the world feel more immersive. Atmosphere is crucial in any game, and here I'd say it's great, though not perfect. At first, the game felt goofy because of how some monsters looked, like the human spider and the main enemy, the smiling freak. Now it leans more into straight horror. It still has silly elements like the well-known cartoon cat, renamed the Wraith Cat. But the most terrifying place is the corruption. I saved my thoughts on it for this section because it fits better here. It's a masterpiece of an area. Why? Well, it's the most horror-like part of the game. I only briefly mentioned how it was horrifying in the gameplay section, but I wasn't just horrified. Being lost is the worst experience ever. And that's what happened when I first entered. Tension was building up faster than 99 Nights getting updates. My hands were shaking, and my light source, which was a handheld torch, had just run out of fuel. I was forced to shoot for light. Luckily, I escaped, but I never touched the area again until I had to. With this experience, and many others that would make this video an entire movie if I added them, this part of the game deserves a 9.5/10. Amazing, but it hasn't reached it yet. Now let's take a dip into the game's lore. The game's lore is quite compelling. But before I continue, if you'd rather find out the lore yourself and not want to get too spoiled, then skip to this timestamp. Okay, so now that all the spoiler-free people are gone, I can finally start this section. The general lore is that we are playing as the main character, called Darien. He's an astronaut who worked for the company Stargazers, but he's hiding out in the forest because he cannot face what he has done. On a mission on the moon, he smuggled an illegal substance, the Omnimite. Upon bringing it to Earth, it had a bad reaction, and Center 13, which was the main research facility, had a containment breach. At this time, Darien had already quit, and only a few people were able to escape. That's pretty much the general lore, and it would be better if I didn't spoil the rest of the more important lore. Now, after that, let's move right on to the pros and cons. So let's start on a more positive note. These are the main pros. Not all of them, or else, well, you get it. Pros. Unique, memorable areas like the corruption and moon mission that feel distinct instead of a copy-paste biome from the forest. Strong horror atmosphere with voice acting, warning sounds, and tense moments where you're shooting just to see in the dark. Good depth and replay value through brewing, trading, different escape routes, and multiple endings, like the melancholy ending. Skill and build variety, thanks to the skills and characters you can buy from Charles and Manu, allowing different playstyles. Interactive, clever gameplay moments, such as shooting out a window to grab a key instead of just pressing a button. Progression that feels earned because scrap comes from actually playing, making permanent upgrades, and new characters feel rewarding. Each update isn't useless and actually adds to the game. What makes sense? Now the cons. These are the main ones for the same reason as the pros. Cons. Big difficulty spike and added complexity, changing the game from survive 7 days and escape to managing batteries, radios, antennas, generators, and sanity. Hidden sanity bar that punishes players with a system they can't see, which feels unfair rather than challenging. Clunky or confusing puzzles, like the calculator puzzle, that break the flow and feel awkward to solve. Annoying stock system and accessibility issues, with limited item stock and NPCs like Charles being hard to find in the lobby. Grind and high time commitment, since long runs with multiple systems and endings can feel exhausting, especially if you fail near the end. Shift in identity as the game became harder, darker, and more complex, making some older fans feel like it lost what made it special. The lore is quite hidden and doesn't make sense if you're casually playing and speedrunning. You have to dig quite deep. Chat restrictions, Roblox's fault. Too many updates at once are becoming overwhelming. Bugs are less prioritized than new content. So, this isn't really your average cash grab game. You thought it was going to be, huh? Still, I believe this game is still in its alpha, even if it doesn't admit it. Though it isn't a cash grab, these cons really struck the game in its kneecaps. Pros. Some players like the game because it isn't afraid to add weird, dark content, like corrupted wells and a boss. That's pretty much it. Cons. Others feel that too much has changed, the game has lost its identity, and it's simply become harder. It updates way too much. It would be nice if they chilled out on the updates. This comment was from a 7-day to live YouTuber. They're called the Chiniki6, and they make epic content about this game. Check them out. One person says that they've changed too much, removed core features, and barely/don't listen to their fans. This is true, though. The same person who said that they don't listen to their fans also believes that the game really forces you to get one specific ending, which is the melancholy ending, and I completely agree with that. There is no motivation to even try the other endings. They're starting to push away from the endless game archetype. These are quite some strong opinions, and I agree with them a lot. I haven't seen a game that takes risks like adding more horror elements, but especially the part where they've changed too much and removed core features is quite true. It feels as if the game doesn't know what it wants to be, but somehow is barely hanging on. Adding on to what Ichiniki6 said, it updates too quickly. I work on the wiki for this game, and I cannot keep up, so it would be nice if you could please unsubscribe from my effort. Only unsub if you like my videos, though. The game isn't great, but it is far from being the worst. I've seen this game rise and fall from its prime. So, the final rating for this game is 6.5. It isn't bad, but it needs to slow down the updates. It also needs to focus on in-game bugs. Finally, they also need to listen to the community more. Firstly, actually explaining sanity to the players. They can do this through re-adding the bar, or at least explain better, because you literally have to go to the wiki, which is still very incomplete, to find out. Next, they've got to slow it down. They are practically doing updates almost every 3 days. It would be much better if they slowed down to a 2-week update cycle, so they could focus on what's there and fix bugs more easily. After that, they should make the escape goal clear. When I first returned, I didn't know we had to find a radio, get batteries, get an antenna, and blow up a generator to escape. It would be better if it started like, something is wrong. My radio is broken, and I think I have to escape within these 7 days. I'd better see if there's a radio for me to use. This is quite a bad example, but I couldn't think of anything while writing the script. The next idea is that they should re-add the important things they've removed and fix random things. An example is to re-add the sanity bar. I have one last addition. Make other items important. Think about it. Who would want to build chairs or a metal door if they're a pro or even a casual player? Almost no one, except for people who are playing sandbox mode. It would be nice if a bed made days longer, but nights shorter, or craft a clock, so if you're near base, it would tell you the time. But if you go too far, it doesn't. If you've been watching, then you're seeing the gameplay in the background, right? Well, this is a bugged run where it only turned night once. It was also on Blood Moon Challenge, which was meant to be hard, but it felt like Blocktail's hard mode. The same thing, but slightly buffed enemies. I could go on and on with these suggestions, but this video would end up being a craft video if I continue to ramble on. So, let's conclude this video. Skip the timestamp on screen to skip this part. But this will be short anyways. If this game kind of sounds interesting, please help me on the wiki. As I said before, it's outdated. Heck, most of the pictures I got were from the wiki because of how many updates this game pumps out in like a day. It's hard to get information. Getting back on track. I recently adopted it, so any help I can get will be appreciated. Thank you. This game is honestly good. It still has a lot of potential, and I know the devs are capable of making this game better, as seen by their success with their other game, Siren Head Legacy, which I mentioned earlier. With this, the video ends. Farewell, and have an epic day.